There's a huge story that hasn't been told yet to mankind, and we deserve to get this story out to everybody. A lot of people on this planet are, unfortunately, because they've been victims of the religious system, are waiting to die so that they can live. And that's a big problem that we have. What DNA is and how it operates, that's the big secret here, because once you understand that, then you're going to open yourself up to understanding how to reprogram yourself. 432 hertz and 528 hertz. It's been scientifically proven it will literally reprogram your DNA. It's an elevation of consciousness. You've gone from the primordial level of consciousness, the physical meat mode level, to a 5D ascension level of consciousness. Your body is still in the third dimension, but you're thinking from a much higher dimension, a much higher level. DNA is a storage medium. In other words, it's a hard drive. This is peer-reviewed science, by the way, guys. 1 gram of DNA, which is enough to put a little tiny drop on the tip of your finger, can store 700 terabytes of data. Zeros and ones that make your phone work and make your computer work. Zeros and one bits of data, zeros and ones, can be stored on DNA. We're walking USB drives. Literally, inside of your body right now, you can store 13.5 billion years of data. Ironically, that's how old the universe is. You literally have all the information stored in your body from the beginning of time until this very moment, inside of you. So when people say the universe is in you, it's not just a figure of speech. Like, the universe is really in you. Everything that was here from the beginning is here right now. Nothing's been added, nothing's been removed due to the law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. You're just here right now in this particular form at this particular moment, but all the information in your DNA will go back, if you had the capability of decoding it, will allow you to find this out. This is why, and some of you here know that I talk a lot about the Anunnaki, these Atlantean beings that came here in the distant past and genetically modified the existing hominid. They didn't create people, they modified people. If you really analyze the text, and I'm not just talking about Sumerian text, you have to go into several different versions of text, the Enuma Elish and Seven Tablets of Creation, the Atra-Asis epic, the Epic of Gilgamesh, you go into the Emerald Tablets, you discover that there was already a hominid here and it was genetically modified. That was our cousin before Homo sapiens existed. What did they do to us to make us into this slave race to do the work for them? They disconnected our DNA. That's what you have called now junk DNA. It's not junk, guys. It's unplugged DNA. Why did they unplug it? Because our cousins, unlike you've been taught, were way smarter than us. I'm not talking technologically smarter. I'm talking about spiritually smarter. More in tune with nature, more in tune with the universe, more in tune with the planet itself, the Schumann resonant frequency of the earth. They had bigger brains, proven because we found the skulls all over the planet. They had, probably because of bigger brains, most likely had bigger pineal glands, which is your spiritual antenna. All humans right now, we have billions of magnetite crystals in our brains. We don't even use them. They probably had access to their magnetite crystals, which is what turtles use to navigate the oceans to come back to where they're gonna lay their eggs. And birds, they flock to the south in the winter and so forth, all using the magnetic field. Well, we have the same capability, but right now we've been disconnected from using that. If a tsunami comes inland, before it even hits, all the wild animals run to the mountains and the hills. You never see wild animals getting swept away by a tsunami. We've been disconnected. You know, our DNA has been disconnected. Our consciousness has been reduced. They've already scientifically proven and found out that a worship gene was embedded into the human genome. And they don't know who did it, but they can tell you that it was around 200,000 years ago. The same time that they discovered that chromosome number 2 in the human body was taken out, fused together, and 2 telomere caps were put on each end. Again, this is something done in a laboratory, admitted by mainstream scientists, but they can't figure out who did it. They can only tell you when. Oh, about 200,000 years ago. Well, what do the tablets say? 200,000 years ago is when they first genetically modified the existing hominid on this planet. And these tablets predate any Zecharia Sitchin's translations. Zecharia Sitchin, I want to clear this up real quick before I even proceed, never translated any Sumerian tablets. That's a hoax. He's one of the greatest researchers in the history of this planet, because what he did was he took pre-existing translated information and he painted a picture for us based off of the translations that already existed, and he wrote books about it. He never translated the Sumerian tablets. The Sumerian tablets were translated, in some cases, 100 years before he was even born. This is back in the 1700s and 1800s that the Sumerian tablets, the ones that have the information about these beings coming here and so forth and genetically modifying people, the Atrahasis epic and the Enuma Elish were translated before he was even born. So he never translated, he just painted a picture. He tried to pull together information from the tablets, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Nag Hammadi scripts, the Emerald tablets, and he tried to paint a picture as to what he thought happened in the ancient past. Was he 1,000% accurate? Probably not. But who is? Nobody's going to be 100% accurate on anything that they put together. We're all researching. We're all searching for answers and information. But just to clear that up, because I got to get rid of that, debunk that big lie that floats around that we shouldn't listen to anything the Sumerian tablets have to say because they were only translated by Zechariah Sitchin. That's actually that's a lie. What does it have to do with DNA? Well, if you look into the Tower of Babel incident that happened, it's recorded in the Bible, but the Bible copied it directly from where? The Sumerian tablets, which predate the Bible by 6,000 years. Ironically, if you look what the majority of religious people that believe in that book, they only think that the earth and people are only 6,000 years old. Why is that? Because the Sumerian tablets date back to 6,000 years. That's when the most recent recorded history in terms of a lot of information was available. So they're going off of information that was plagiarized into other religious texts. But Sumerians in this epic, there's a Tower of Babel being built in Babylon. This tower is rivaling the tower that was built by these Anunnaki beings, these Atlantean people. Now, whether the tower was a replica, direct, like an identical copy, whether it was like a cargo cult where we kind of deified these people as gods and we're just trying to mimic and we use straw and clay brick to build a tower that mimicked what they built, it doesn't matter. The fact is, we came together as one, all of us, and we built something together, and our reason behind it was to either honor the gods or duplicate what they were doing. And if you look at some of the ancient texts, biblical or either Sumerian, Emerald tablets, and even some of the Indian books, you'll discover that people were living for thousands of years. Well, what happened? All of a sudden, they stopped living for, these are human beings, not gods. Humans were living for thousands of years. Now, mainstream science wants to say, oh, it's because they had more oxygen and all this kind of crazy stuff. No, man. We've been genetically modified, just like the seeds on this planet. That's why. But let's take it to the next step now. Now they have discovered that epigenetic memories can be passed down 14 generations inside of DNA. Memories. So you're wondering why you feel fear of this and fear of that, or you have a phobia of this or a phobia of that, or you feel strongly about this and not so strongly about that. It's not because it runs in your family. It's because it's in your DNA. Memories are in your DNA. So what does this have to do with us? Well, every single race on this planet has been enslaved. Now, in more recent times, we've had one race try to enslave other races more than others. But, however, you have to understand this. We're all still slaves in the matrix. Every single person on this planet is a slave right now at this moment. So if you see somebody that's stressing, that's under pressure, that's feeling the negative effects of what happened in the past, you can't just wipe it away and say, it's over now, you should forget about it. Because what they're truly doing is they're suffering internally. It's an internal thing, and it's not gonna go away immediately. It's gonna take some time to do what? Reprogram. We have to reprogram the DNA. Now, how does this work with the law of attraction? What we have to do as a people on this planet is we have to literally take the system that the elites put over us to control us and keep us dumbed down and stupid and low vibrational, take that same exact system and flip it. Use the same methods, but for positive, for high frequency information. Music is universal because mathematics is universal. The whole universe is written based on mathematics, and music is also universal. That's why I started a record label called Pantheon Elite Records. I started a record label because I wanted to affect people in a positive way through music. But what do I do that's different? We use conscious lyrics. Okay, well, big deal. No, the music is encoded at 432 hertz and 528 hertz because the music on your radio is encoded at what? 440 hertz. Very scientifically proven, extremely detrimental to DNA. Why do they do 440 hertz knowing that it's going to be detrimental to your DNA? Because they want to keep you in a weakened state. Because why? People that come together, people that understand who they are, people that understand how much power is inside of them will not allow this to happen. We will take control of this planet, become loving beings again, love one another, help one another, and so forth and so on. So they have to keep us in a state of weakness and, of course, also sickness. Because when your DNA is weak, you become what? You become sick. So all my music, I put it at 432 hertz, and 528 hertz. And guess what's going to happen? People are going to start copying us and following suit, and it's going to become like an epidemic in a positive way. So we got to start the process there. Programming on TV. That's why I get involved in positive shows and documentaries and movies that teach real information, because why I'm trying to get kids to start looking and people start looking at information that's going to help to reprogram their DNA. Another thing that you can do is positive affirmations. I have a song called Affirmations. If you look it up on any music platform, just look up Affirmations by Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4. It's a song that will literally, when you play it, it's going to give you a whole song full of affirmations, but with a composed music done by myself and a violin by the name of Richard Wagner. But it's going to program you. It's been scientifically proven by saying positive affirmations will literally reprogram your DNA. And guess what happens when you begin to do that? When you begin to think positively, when you begin to act positively, and then now you're reprogramming yourself, and now you have offspring. It may not be just this instantaneous thing where everybody's just reprogramming and we're all awake and we're all in another dimension. I mean, it could happen because anything is possible. But what I'm trying to tell you is more than likely, we're probably going to have to go on a step-by-step realistic process to do this. And it's going to take effort and it's going to take hard work. It's not going to be easy. If you're driving down the highway and somebody cuts you off in traffic, don't flip them the finger and curse them out and say this and that and all this other kind of stuff, especially if you got your kids and stuff in the car. That's just a bad example. What you should do is you should bless that person, bless their path, bless the destination they're trying to get to, and thank the universe that you didn't crash or have a car accident, and just keep on moving in a positive mindset. And when you broadcast that type of love frequency, now you're reprogramming your DNA. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. And the only reason why we're in the state we are now as a civilization on the planet is because we're not utilizing enough unconditional love. I try not to let it get me into a state of frenzy or a state of distress. I try to control my physiology and maintain the neutral point, because in the 0 point field is where you can actually focus on the problem. Because once you become completely distressed, worked up, angry, and frustrated, now your mind is putting more energy into that and not into focusing on the situation or the problem that you need to have to fix and solve the situation, which most likely means you probably need to be more understanding, be more patient, and learn a lesson from whatever happened. Now, this is not easy to do, trust me. It's a work in progress. None of us are perfect. It's all a work in progress. It's a struggle on a daily basis. This is what's really truly called in the ancient texts, being born again. Being born again doesn't mean that you believing in a specific deity and that he's going to come and save you. Being born again means it's an elevation of consciousness. You've gone from the primordial level of consciousness, the physical meat mode level, to a 5D ascension level of consciousness. Your body is still in the 3rd dimension, but you're thinking from a much higher dimension, a much higher level. It operates on something called Adinkra codes. And these Adinkra codes can be traced back to the Dogon tribe in Mali, Africa, who actually were the original Egyptians from the land of Chem. They later migrated out to Mali. But they have these codes. These codes represent, they're flat codes on cloth, but when you take them into a 3rd dimension, they represent sophisticated numerical mathematics that depict something called error-correcting codes in our modern science. And these error-correcting codes are what run search engine browsers and websites. So what is governing the function of our space-time reality in the 3rd dimension is a software program that runs websites and search engines. This is peer-reviewed science, guys. This is how powerful you are. So what's happening is you're syncing up with information that's already on the net, and it's downloading into your body, and you're processing that. So with the law of attraction, what happens is the law of attraction is not just something. A lot of people hear you, oh, law of attraction, I'm going to use the law of attraction, but they really don't know how to utilize it the proper way. And it's a real powerful tool to use in your life. And if you really truly understand the law of attraction, you're going to make your life so much easier. It goes along, though, with the reprogramming process. You have to begin to start the reprogram. If you want it to work consistently, you can make it work by accident here or there, spot it. But if you want it to work consistently, you got to continue to reprogram your DNA. And then you have to understand one other thing, quantum entanglement. But in quantum entanglement, which is something in real physics, it's where you use something called parabolic down conversion to get 2 photons or 2 particles on the same frequency. So once you get 2 particles on the same frequency, you could take 1 particle to the other end of the universe if you had the capability of getting it there. And the particle that's local to you, you can change the information in it, put data on it, and the other particle will change instantaneously, bypassing the speed of light. What does this prove? Distance is an illusion. There is no distance. And scientists now have discovered that the neurons in the brain phase in and out of the third dimensional reality. Look it up. I always give you real science that you can research for yourself. So your neurons, between your synapses, are actually phasing in and out of the third dimension. Where are they going? They're communicating with other realms and other dimensions, syncing and quantum entangling with particles and thoughts in other places. So when you understand this power of manifestation, how to sync with the universal consciousness through something else, which I've labeled the Christ consciousness. So the Christ consciousness doesn't mean you're syncing up with Jesus Christ. What it means is you're syncing up with the idea, the concept of this higher level of consciousness that exists out there in space-time. So when you yourself are aligning yourself properly with the universe, vibrating on a high frequency, and what does that mean, vibrating on a high frequency? That means you're thinking with love, not thinking with hate. You're thinking with power and love, and not fear and weakness. And when you do that, that puts your DNA scientifically at a high frequency. This is real science. It's not like, oh man, these people just got up here and talking about these frequencies and all this stuff. They don't know what they're talking about. No, I'm talking about real, peer-reviewed quantum physics and quantum mechanics. I want to manifest a spouse into my life, for example. Let's just go with that. I want to manifest a spouse into my life that's operating in the same frequency that I'm operating, that's moving in the same way that I'm moving, because I tried it before where one person's going this way and another person's going that way. It didn't work out. I did it twice. I'm going, man, I'm beating myself up. What am I doing here? Not that that person was all wrong or that I was all wrong, but it just wasn't a perfect match, the frequency level. So I start focusing on this in meditations. I start focusing on envisioning not a face, not a body, just a spirit light being that is in full agreement and movement in what I'm looking to do and accomplish on this planet. Now, because I'm doing that and I'm feeling this love frequency, this vibration and happiness in the meditation, I'm now operating at a higher level. Now I'm syncing up with the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness is going to carry that photonic or that particle energy to sync up with the universal consciousness on a quantum entanglement. And now I'm quantum entangled directly with the flower of life, which is the face of God. And now what happens is, just like in standard physics, when you have a globe in space and you see space warps around the globe because of the theory of relativity, Einstein's theory of relativity, now replace the globe, Earth, with your consciousness, with your mind. Your mind is literally, now that it's quantum entangled, it's warping space-time. It's warping the ether of space itself. And now things that you're looking for are falling, because what happens to a body in space that warps space? Things fall toward it. Now, the things that you want in life are starting to fall towards you. You're creating your own quantum entanglement. You're creating a law of attraction. Now you have things falling directly towards you. And this is how the law of attraction works. You literally create a gravity well, so to speak, that things happen to fall towards you. And as you begin to operate in this mode, it then begins to happen subconsciously, where you're not even having to directly focus. As the universe knows what you need, if you're operating in the right frequency, those things will just occur in your life and pop up for you.